Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about pattern adjustments that you can make for 1709, the Assassin's Hood. There are two adjustments I'm going to run through with you. The first is how we can make the centre front longer, and the second is how we can maximise our fabric so we have less wastage, and also how we can gain more swing in the garment. So you can make this pattern adjustment directly on your fabric, or you can create it on pattern paper. What you're going to need is standard pattern making equipment, a pencil and a set square. So when you're ready, let's get started. So what we need to do is extend the centre front line down. Now this is effectively our grain line. So all we're going to do is, with a ruler or a set square, lengthen this line. Now the difference between this pattern 1709 and the alternate Assassin's hoodie is that the alternate Assassin's hoodie has 15 centimetres in length added to it. So whatever length you want to adjust this to, I'm going to measure down from this line here the new longer length of the centre front. So for this exercise I'm going to extend this down by 15 centimetres. And I'm just going to place a small mark like this. For the next step, you're going to need a right angle, so a set square comes in really handy. What you need to do is create a right angle from your new length of your centre front and just draw a line going slightly upwards. It needs to be maybe 1.5 inches, 3 or 4 centimetres long. And the reason we do this is because when we're sewing, we don't want the front to end in a point like this or a point like this. We want it to go straight across. So once you have your new length and you've lengthened it across, what we need to do now is redraw in our curve to our hemline. You can draw this curve in whatever shape you want, but it must start here and it must intersect somewhere along this line. To help draw this recurve in, what I like to do is use my elbow as a pivot point. So I'm going to start at this point here and I'm simply going to swing it around like this until it hits the line here. This has already got the hem allowance in it, so there's no need to add any extra hem allowance there. Now, as a note, the hem allowance is quite small, but even so, because of the curve, when you sew it, you might get some tunnelling. If you find that the tunnelling is too much, and tunnelling is those wavy lines that you might see, just make that seam allowance smaller. Often if you reduce that down to say 1 centimetre and you use a cover stitch or a twin needle effect, you can completely remove that tunnelling. Another thing I'd like to add at this point is you might want to rethink your pocket position. The original pocket is set to be in this position here, but you might just find proportionately you might need to drop it down a little bit further so it makes a little bit more sense when you look in a mirror. But that's up to your personal taste and where you'd like that pocket to be. The next pattern adjustment is for when you have very wide fabric or you simply want to make the most of the fabric you have. Now generally the largest or widest fabric you can get comes in 60 inches, which is 150 centimetres width. Sometimes you can be lucky, and if you're creating this in a sweatshirting, your fabric might be extra wide at 170 centimetres. We can make a very simple pattern adjustment so that you use the full width of your fabric and we gain more swing or drape within the garment. So the easiest way to show you is if I was doing this on the fabric itself. What we're going to do is fold our fabric in half with the selvages, which is the bound edge at the top, and the folded edge closest to you. When we lay out this pattern, what we generally do is we place this centre front on the fold line. Now if I did this, you can see here that there's more fabric I can use that I'm not using at the moment. So how do we get around this? Well, what we're going to do is make a swing out from the lower front. What I want to do is place the neck point on the fold here, and then this hemline here needs to go to your widest point here, remembering to stay in around about 1 inch or 3 centimeters from the selvage, because we don't want to be using any of that selvage bound edge in our sewing. So once you have the pattern sitting like this, we're going to trace around it or cut around it. Stop when you get to this point here. Now you're going to need your set square or some other device that enables you to create a right angle. What we're going to do is put the centre point of our set square on our fold line until it touches the original centre front line. Then you might just need to be doing some smoothing to smooth out that line. So as you can see here, we've gained more through the centre front, which will give us more drape through the garment. So your completed pattern would look like this. If you've added quite a lot of width through here and you feel this angle looks a bit strange, too flat, what you can do is simply redraw the angle to a better curve for you. So I hope you've enjoyed this pattern alteration video, and I look forward to giving you more alteration videos down the track.